Welcome, folks, to our City Matters. Today we have a show pertaining to the Union Leader article on the two gentlemen that filed a complaint with the city and the alderman on the MEA teacher's contract. So I thought I'd have them in studio today and let them explain to you why they felt it was necessary to bring these complaints. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I have Michael Olszta with me and Robert Tarr. And by the way, he is running for alderman at large. So consider him for your vote on Tuesday, September 15th. So I will run the CD on, or the DVD on a little bit of what happened at the aldermanic meeting and what brought us to this point, or brought you folks to write these letters to the Board of Aldermen and the mayor. So John, if you could roll the tape on that, I'd greatly appreciate it, the first tape.
Ratified vote?
I may have, I don't know.
Roll call? Yes.
The teachers have voted for this, correct? School
Correct.
boards voted for, so it's the Board of Mayor and Aldermen lays over to our next meeting for a final vote, correct?
And we will have a complete analysis by Mr. Sanders by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Roll call by Alderman Roy.
On an analysis, we're going to do a roll call?
No, this is on the ratification.
This is on the ratification, correct?
Alderman Roy?
No.
Alderman Sapienza?
Yes.
Alderman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Lavassi?
No.
Alderman Shea?
No.
Alderman Shaw?
Yes.
Alderman Berry?
Yes.
Alderman Gamache?
Yes.
Alderman Hirschman?
No.
Alderman Craig?
Yes.
Alderman Ludwig?
Yes.
Alderman Long?
Yes.
Your Honor? Point of order?
Alderman
Motion
Roy.
passes.
With all due respect, should Alderman Ludwig be voting on this? That seems to be a conflict of interest that his wife is covered by this contract.
Why don't you ask legal?
Good point.
I'll ask legal.
Direct interest.
No, my wife gets the same as everybody else.
I suggest we all have a direct interest in this contract.
Right. And I didn't appreciate that either, by the way. And you're going to give me the opportunity to speak.
I'm certainly
Because
going to give you
that's
that
completely out of order.
No, it isn't.
I don't appreciate it, and I'll leave it at that because we have to work together. So I'll walk away from it, but it was very much uncalled for.
Do you need 10 to ratify?
I haven't heard a decision from legal.
Your Honor, per parliamentary procedure, do you need 10 to ratify?
I'm looking at it here.
Sorry?
Don't you need 10 to approve the contract?
No.
No.
It's ratified and laying over. Mr. Clark?
Your Honor, we've taken a quick look at the charter. Tonight, I'm recommending that Alderman Ludwig abstain from the vote, and we'll take a further look at it before it comes back up before this board.
Your Honor, I have a quick comment.
Go ahead.
I'm happy to abstain. I certainly don't want any members of this board, because I think the charter goes on to also say that if there's an issue, aldermen can recommend sending that person to the conduct board. So I have no interest in doing that. I want to take this moment, though, to thank and apologize to the voters of Ward 2, because I ran in Ward 2 to represent them, not my wife. So if anybody here thinks different, then they don't know who I am. So I apologize to those people that I can't represent you on this issue, given the charter in the city of Manchester, and that some members of this board think that that's the only way they can win. It's the only way, because it's only about winning for them. It's not about winning for me, it's what's doing right. If I could, I'd make the same vote if my wife wasn't getting an increase. So take that for what it's worth, and let the people who bring up these topics look around and see if they've ever done anything like that before. I guess the next one, I'll have to abstain on is the firefighters, because my son's one of those. But I'm not apologizing for it to anybody in this room, because some people who, in their past lives, held certain positions and took advantage of everything that they could while they were in those positions, sit here today and make rule and judgment over people when they have no reason to do it. I won't name names, but those people know who they are. Thank you.
Let's move on. Going to lay over until next month. Anybody that wants to have a Congress? Yeah, it's laying over. This is majority.
Okay, folks, so you heard a little bit about how this started, the issue with the MEA contract and the allegations or the complaints by these two gentlemen about how the votes were invalid. So welcome, and let us know what you think about how you wrote your article to the union leader. Well, I don't think you wrote it to the union leader. I think the union leader picked up the story, right?
Yes, Deborah, they did pick up the story. As the charter says in Section 903E, that any alderman who has a conflict of interest, such as a daughter, a son, a wife, immediate family, shall not vote on any contract that's proposed to the city, and they should abstain. As we saw in your first video, Ron Ludwig, he automatically, admits to it, saying that, I'm going to vote on it, but then he gets upset when called out upon it by Alderman Roy. Yes, Ron Ludwig also has a son as a firefighter. That contract comes up, he should abstain. Again, it's a violation of the city charter. The city charter is our constitution. It is based upon our New Hampshire constitution, and it's all about the principles of the matter. Going forward with that.
And what do you think, Michael, on that issue? Is that the same for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think what's gotten lost here is the alderman, Alderman Shaw, who we'll see shortly, and Alderman Ludwig, they made it a vote of conflict of interest in their own minds, but as if they could not be partial in their voting, but it has nothing to do with their vote, with them being impartial. It has everything to do with what the charter says. I have no ill will toward Mr. Ludwig, Alderman Ludwig, and Alderman Shaw, and Alderman Gamache. But if we don't follow the rules that are set forth in our charter, we become almost mob rule here. We have no guidance. And each one of these aldermen took an oath to uphold the charter. That is the citizens' document by which they can check to make sure the job is being done correctly. And if they no longer keep the charter and we have a free-for-all, what good is our vote at that point? There's no check and balance.
Agree.
Right. So we have three aldermen involved in this issue. We have Alderman Ludwig, Alderman Shaw, and Alderman Gamache.
Mm-hmm.
And the vote came to 10-3, which without two of them, or the three of them, there would not be enough votes to override the mayor's veto. Is that correct?
That would be correct. Basically, when in this last BMNA meeting, we saw firsthand Alderman Long, which I also called out. He put a motion out to accept the teacher's contract and for everyone to vote on it. Again, Alderman Ludwig, Alderman Shaw, Alderman Gamache voted on that motion that Alderman Long put out. My complaint in my letter was for Alderman Long is that there is a policy to adhere to, and that the items on the agenda for that evening had already been pre-voted on by the alderman prior to the public hearing of that agenda. Alderman Long did not give the public enough time to reconsider the new vote that he was putting out. So I called him out on that, saying you're going against not only the city charter, but the provisions of the city, giving us 24 hours or more, the public at large, to be able to vote on his motion, to speak.
But the alderman did give him a majority vote to accept his motion.
Yes, I did.
Which is legal. So John, if you're prepared to play the next video, we'll see how Alderman Shaw turns out.
and I asked for an opinion. I was told that I too cannot vote. I was very disturbed and very upset because in reading the charter, it says under conflict of interest that no city official shall participate in the decision-making process of any matter in which the official or a member of the official's immediate family has a direct personal or financial interest. Okay, so then I thought, okay, I can't vote. But then I went to definitions, and under definitions, it says immediate family, spouse, children, and spouses of children, stepchildren, and spouses of stepchildren. Again, I said to myself, okay, then I can't vote. But under financial interest, it says a monetary or a pecuniary interest in a business, entity, or matter, whether direct or indirect, not shared by the public at large. This contract is shared by other people. It's not just my daughter. And I feel strongly that I should be allowed to vote. However, I am not a person to break the law, and I'm not a person to go against what this charter says. But I am asking right now, since I have not had an opportunity to receive a written letter from the solicitor regarding this decision, I would like somebody from the solicitor's office to publicly state right now that I cannot vote on this contract. Please.
Alderman, when we spoke on Monday, we discussed the situation. We went over the language of the charter. I'm the city attorney. I have to tell you what the language of the charter says. I did tell you, I can't tell you not to vote. That's a decision that the alderman has to make. Under the charter, under the language of that section, that the alderman has to decide if he has a conflict. If the alderman doesn't believe he has a conflict or she has a conflict, then if someone else in this board can bring it to the full board for a vote, this board can decide whether or not that conflict exists. My recommendation was that you not vote based on the language of the charter. I've researched other jurisdictions that have identical language or similar language, and that's the position they've all taken.
Thank you.
Alderman Shea?
I'm not.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
I'm not done yet. This is a dilemma because I am not a dishonest person. I do not want to do anything that could further do anything to my reputation or anything. I have a good reputation with my constituents. The only thing is that I feel badly because I feel that I'm taking their vote away, their voice away, and I also feel that my integrity of not being able to make an objective decision is being challenged. And I'm sorry to the people I represent, but in my heart, I cannot challenge this at this time, but I can guarantee you that in the future, I will be looking into this clause in the charter because I feel that there are many decisions that are made.
I'd like to call us out of recess. I have no speakers. Alderman Roy. Anybody else? Alderman Roy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few comments. I'm not happy with this situation. I did not do it to win. I didn't do it to suppress anyone's vote. I sat here at our last meeting, and I heard one of my colleagues when we were discussing this teacher's contract, talk about his spouse working in that group for so many years, making so much money, and I was concerned about the validity of the vote, and that's why I asked legal if there was a conflict of interest. Personally, I was hoping he was going to say no. I agree with everybody here that says that section of the charter needs to be changed, but it ain't. And I think that Mr. Clark gave us his opinion, and again, I'm not happy about the situation. Thank you.
Alderman Shaw.
Thank you. I just want to say that I am going to stick to my decision not to vote because I feel that that's the honorable thing to do. I will follow the law. I may not feel that it's right, but I know that somewhere out there, maybe not my colleagues here on the board, but somebody will find a way to challenge, and I don't want that to happen because I don't want my honesty challenged. And I shall abide by the solicitor's opinion, and I just hope that my colleagues will choose to support this contract. Thank you.
Okay, folks, so you heard something very serious that took place at the Board of Aldermen, 2 Alderman meetings, and unfortunately, the end result of all that was a flip. And the aldermen flipped and voted regardless of how they set their conscience from the start. Alderman Gamache did not make any remarks, so we don't have him on video. But if you'd like to go to gerardatlarge.com under TV archives, you can see the rest of the videos that show the flip. But we know that this happened, so for the sake of time, we won't have time to play those. But you could look at gerardatlarge.com. So now, gentlemen, we have a very serious situation in the city. And unfortunately, the aldermen have flipped. Now you are bringing the complaints. And what do you think is going to happen on October 6th?
Well, you know, it's anyone's guess that none of us can predict the future of what the aldermen are going to say, what their decision is going to be on October 6th. I would like to hope that we don't have to go to court over it. I am prepared, Deborah, to take it to court if we have to go down that road.
Michael, are you prepared to go to court?
I am.
So do you feel the argument about the validity of the vote is the crux of the matter?
Well, yeah, and I don't know if we've spent enough time looking at it, but if I have a few minutes, I'll just go through it real quickly. The parts of the charter we're speaking of, no city officials shall participate in the decision-making process of any matter in which the official or a member of the official's immediate family has a direct personal or financial interest. This isn't a question of whether, again, it's not a question of the alderman's partiality in this, or non-partiality, if they can vote with a clear conscience. The charter is clear. If they have a family member, an immediate family member, and they shall not take any kind of participation. They may not even need to be on the floor, probably. Immediate family is defined here as spouse, children, spouses of children, stepchildren, and spouses of stepchildren. And again, the charter says no official shall participate in the decision-making process of any matter in which the official or member of the official's immediate family has a direct personal or financial interest. Alderman Ludwig's wife is a teacher. She has a financial interest. Alderman Shaw's daughter is a teacher. She has a financial interest. And Alderman Gamache, I do not know the situation with him. Is it a daughter that he has?
It's a daughter of him, yeah.
His daughter is a teacher, has a financial interest. This is not an issue of whether we're questioning anyone's honesty. I do question, however, how people in government are making decisions for us, have no understanding of what the charter says. I think before one of the complaints Alderman Ludwig stated was, I am representing you, And how am I, his basic question is, how can I represent my constituents if the charter won't allow me to vote? But you should have known that, Alderman Ludwig, before you ran. And you should have understood that you should have understood this section. I think it's a clear section every person should look at before they run so that they don't get limited to represent their constituents in their ward. And there's one more thing I wanted to share out of here, just so it can be clear. Under conflict of interest, the definition says, no city official shall participate in the decision-making process of any matter in which the official or a member of the official's immediate family has a direct personal or financial interest. Any official who believes such an interest exists shall disclose such interest and shall not participate in the matter further. In other words, all three of these aldermen should have come forth, openly stated that the conflict of interest existed, and they should have recused themselves automatically if they're going to uphold their oath of the oath that they took when they became aldermen.
So, Robert, do you think this should go to the conduct committee?
I have requested that under the charter, the way that it is described, Deborah, is that the due process of the law is that if a complaint is filed, it shall go before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for a vote to send on to the Conduct Committee, and then when the Conduct Committee will make an advisory decision, up or down, if there was a conflict of interest. If there's a conflict of interest, being advised by the Conduct Board, the Aldermen then go back and say, okay, we've been advised there was a conflict of interest. Do you vote to strike out, the invalid votes on the past motion? So again, it's going to be a little bit of a wait game because obviously the aldermen don't meet, they only meet once a month. So the next time they meet is October 6th, when they're going to now vote on the motion to present this to the Conduct Board for review of our complaints. Again, then it goes on beyond that. The Conduct Board will have to meet and then come back to the aldermen to do that. So you're looking at a couple of months out before we might hear any kind of resolve from this. If it's not satisfactory, in my opinion, like I've mentioned to the mayor, I will and most certainly take it to court. I'm willing to do so. If I have to represent pro se, I will. I'm very familiar with New Hampshire laws and the charter. And if I have to do that, then I will do that. It's not a poker game. People think I'm calling their bluff. I'm not. If we don't uphold our elected officials to the oath that they take, like Michael had mentioned, then we're basically giving them a blank check to do what they want to do with our tax dollars, and our freedoms and our lives. And we have to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Michael?
I think pretty much everything has been said. I do think it shows the lack of knowledge that people have when they run. Mm-hmm. And these people have been in this job for a long time. Do they not read their charter? I'm rather astonished about the whole situation. I would think this is something they would have already known about.
Like Barbara Shaw says, this has been going on for a while. Oftentimes this happens, and nobody brings complaints. Nobody, holds them accountable. Right. But all of a sudden now, some aldermen decided we're going to hold them accountable. Oh well, now it's time. We got to fix it.
I wouldn't have said anything unless Alderman Roy, if he hadn't brought it up and made the point. And it was at that point I began to take a look at the charter myself, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. Because I thought it left, I was thinking, oh yeah, it must leave the conflict of interest up to them in their own minds. But no, it doesn't. The charter is very black and white on this. And how could, when you think to it, how could it leave it up to their own minds? Nobody can know what a person is thinking, only between them and God alone. And the charter, we can't work that way. We have to work within the constraints of a law.
So do you think, Bob, or Michael, that there's a way to change the charter? Do you think? Have you gotten any feedback from the aldermen on how they want to do that?
The feedback that I've gotten back is from the detractors who want to change the charter in a way that it creates gray areas, areas that they won't be challenged on, but will be allowed to vote on things that would have a conflict of interest, like Michael said, black and white. They want to create some gray areas so that they have the ability to have the freedom to do as they've chosen to do for many, many years. Well, again, it's not the government, it's our government. It's not, we don't serve our government serves us. And if the people don't challenge that or don't bring it up finally for a challenge, then, we're asking for what the city does. Give you an example, Bob Baines had a double-digit tax increase one year. Finally, the people of the city said, enough is enough. We want a tax cap. We remember the battle of that when the aldermen said, no, we don't need a tax cap. They did not want their blank check taken away. But people challenged the tax cap. They took it to court. It was thrown out of court at one point, but then brought back to court, and it was won and put in place. Last year, the aldermen overrode the tax cap. Let's remember that.
They have that provision and freedom to do that.
Right.
By the charter.
They did it for the city side last year. And if you think about the way politics plays out in Manchester, think about it. They did it last year. The teachers had no contract, but still worked. They overrode the tax cap, and they moved on. Now, all of a sudden, it's an election year, teacher's contract comes up, and who's going to get the kickback for voting for their contract? Obviously, the aldermen are going to get their votes from the MEA for voting for the contract because they know very well it breaks the budget. It breaks the budget in 2017, it breaks the budget in 2018, and the aldermen know that if they're reelected, they'll just simply override the tax cap next year for the teachers to give them the pay raise that they want. I think that's very unfair and very
manipulative
to the people of the city of Manchester. Again, we have to hold accountability. And now that Michael and I, and hopefully others will come forward and say...
Right. I mean, others can still write a letter of complaint.
Oh, absolutely.
And submit it to the city clerk?
The city clerk, Matt Normand, will take your complaint, and you just simply file it with him. It costs no money to file a city complaint. You just simply type it out in your own words and present it to the city clerk. If you want to have it notarized to make it a legal document, it costs $5, but you don't have to have it notarized. Mm-hmm. But you can file a city complaint, and you can even ask that your name not be, given out to the public if you do not wish to have it out there. Because there is some privacy laws that allow you to, be anonymous when you file your complaint.
Right. Well, I mean, the repercussions. I mean, I hope that, people who would like to come and make the complaints and join maybe a lawsuit to rectify the situation here and hold our government accountable to the laws of the city, that you'll come forward. I mean, it shouldn't be left on two people out of a city of 110,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on wrap-up right now. So if you have some closing thoughts, Michael, and...
If anybody would like to see my letter, it's being posted on Gerard at Large. Rich said he would post it, and also you can feel free to email me or call me at 930-1683, and my email address is michael@olszta.comcastbiz.net. Feel free to email me anytime, and I'm more than happy to share the letter with you.
Okay, and you, Bob?
Yeah, and saying like what Michael just said, if anytime you want to reach out with me, you can find me on Facebook. It's real easy to find me. My phone number is on my About page on Facebook. My email address is there too. If you'd like that real quick, it's rmtar07@yahoo.com. Feel free to send me your comments, your concerns, anything that's on your mind. If there's something that I may not have brought up that is a conflict of interest in the city, please let me know, and I'd be happy to be your advocate for that.
Okay, and we know that you're running for Alderman at Large on Tuesday, September 15th. Please vote, folks. All right, thank you so much. We'll take you next time.